Hey everyone, Jamie Knapp here. So I was laying in bed the other night trying to sleep, right? And all of a sudden I woke up super early, no alarm clock. And I just had this thought that I needed to make this video to share some tips for how to receive personal revelation for conference. I know that things are going a little crazy in the world right now, so many things happening, and we're all really wanting to receive more answers. So I hope these tips will help you. We're just going to talk about 5 simple ways that you can receive more personal revelation in conference. So here we go. All right, tip number 1 is probably the most important. So if you don't hear anything else, please hear this one. And that is to let go of the belief that your spouse and kids should pay attention. Now, I know that sounds so crazy, but you've all been there, right? Like you're sitting in conference and all of a sudden you hear snoring and you look over and your husband or whoever is like laying back and their eyes are closed and they're totally snoring, right? And the first thing you think is, they need to be hearing this, right? Well, the problem with that is the first thing it does is it introduces thoughts into your mind that close off your ability to hear personal revelation. As long as you are thinking those critical thoughts about someone else, you won't receive the revelation you need. Now, maybe they should be listening to conference, right? But is that thought going to get you what you need? No. And if you wake them up and you're like, oh, you need to be listening to conference, then they also aren't going to get the revelation they need because they're going to be feeling those like contentious vibes, right? So what if instead you just let go of that? What if you didn't have that belief? What if you didn't have that thought? Well, then you will be able to receive more from conference. And as we go to step number 2, your family will too. Tip number 2, as we jump into that, is to prepare, to focus on creating a place that your family feels good and wants to be. So what does this mean? It doesn't have to be complicated. So for our family, we like to have some special treats, special snacks. We lay out a sheet in the living room so everyone can eat in there. We totally, do simple things, use paper plates sometimes even, try to make it easy so that everyone can listen, but it's also fun. Do we allow games, blocks, toys, coloring? Yes, absolutely. We allow whatever the kids want to do that's quiet. Why is that? Not everybody learns the same way. Some of my kids are very hands-on learning, and if I make them sit on the couch and sit still, they will learn nothing. They're much more likely to learn while they're moving around, doing stuff, and enjoying being in that environment. Even more important than that, if I can create an environment where they feel love, they feel safe, and they feel joy, then they will want to listen to conference. So last year, I laughed so hard. One of my kids came up to me. He was 9 at the time, and he said, Mom, you know what I just realized? Conference is actually really boring sometimes, but I still like it. And I just laughed so hard and I was so happy because that was my goal, to make conference something that they loved. And even though they might not be old enough to be entertained by all the talks, if they can learn to hear and love conference, and more importantly, love it, then they'll keep showing up, right? So if they get bored, if they get loud and they want to run downstairs and play, totally fine. We do have a rule that you can't watch other TV or movies or whatever. Conference is on in all of the house, right? But they can go do what they want. If they want to go do an activity downstairs, they can. They're still going to hear conference in the background. The only rule is that they have to try to be quiet when they're upstairs so that I can hear, right? All right. Tip number 3 is write down a specific question. This is a big one. Specific questions get specific answers. So if you want to get answers from conference, it's really important that you show up with the intent to get them. One way that you can help your cause is to think, what do I really need to know right now? What do I need to know? And write that question down. Then have a notebook ready so that as you listen to conference, you can write down, ideas and thoughts and impressions that come to your mind. Now, they might be totally unrelated. Maybe you'll be listening to a conference on temples when all of a sudden you have the idea, hey, I should really take my son on a bike ride. It may seem completely unrelated, but it's probably an answer to your prayer. So write it down so that you remember what it is. Write down impressions of things you should do, things you should study, anything that comes to your mind, write it down. And as you do so, you will continue to receive more answers. Elder Held said in October 2013, I promise that if you will listen, you will feel the Spirit well up within you. The Lord will tell you what He wants you to do with your life. In conferences, we can receive the word of the Lord meant just for us. We've been promised that if we show up with a heart ready to listen, the answers will come. But this brings me to the last tip, and also a super important one, and that is to give yourself grace. Sometimes a conference can be crazy. The kids are crying, they're loud, baby needs you, lots of things going on, and you don't hear what you wanted to hear. Maybe your mind is not in a place because of some stress and other things going on in your life that you don't get the answers you want. Tip number 5 is to be patient with yourself, to give yourself grace and recognize that it might take time. Maybe you'll have to listen again to some talks. Maybe you'll have to practice as you learn. And we will be jumping into that. Next week, we'll start learning about how to receive more clear revelation for ourselves and for our kids. So don't worry, we'll be covering lots of tips to help you do that. But just remember to not be hard on yourself, to give yourself time. Receive the answers you can get, but if you don't get all the ones you want, never fear, keep trying, we'll get there. And I want to encourage you, if you have ideas of what you do for your family, I would love to hear them. Let's share them with each other so that we can all improve our experience this conference. Just put them in the comments below. Let me know what you are going to do. What is your one goal that you're going to do to make conference better for your family? Is there a recipe, something special you're going to make? Maybe you're going to print off some printables for your kids to work on. Maybe you're going to remember not to get grouchy at your family when they're not paying attention. Let us know what you're going to do and enjoy conference. I hope that you hear Him in all the ways you want to. Thank you guys. Talk to you later. Love you.